And when it comes to my turn, yeah, I'll.
Yeah.
You're not time.
Where's the slide for the?
Oh, it's already up there.
Oh, really? Oh.
Are you our clicker over there?
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming and joining us today. We hope you guys had a good lunch. So we are from Marriott. I am Eugene.
I'm Olivia Lamb.
And I'm Betsy Myers.
And before we continue, I'll just take us briefly through the agenda so you all have a roadmap of what we'll be talking about today. We'll be starting out with an overview of recommendations, just so you have that on the back of your mind as we go through our presentation, followed by an environmental analysis by myself. And then after that, Olivia Lamb will take us through a current situation of where Marriott is at given the environmental analysis. She'll also introduce our recommended strategy with Betsy, following up with the strategic considerations before we move on to questions and comments. So our current recommendations focus around focusing on international expansion in high growth regions, consolidating Starwood acquisition and the special preferred guests program, the integration of it with the Marriott's rewards program, as well as expanding economy and lifestyle brands such as Moxie and Tribute in order to capture the growing segment that is the millennials. We believe that focusing on these initiatives will lead us to our two goals, which are achieving 8% revenue per available room in key regions by 2019, as well as achieving market leader status in the number of rooms across all brand segments by 2020. Before we continue, I'll just take us through a quick tour of what the environment is in the hotel industry. Starting off, the global hotel industry itself has been evolving, whereas previously major hotel brands focused on the North American market. There's now a shift to regions abroad. In other words, the future of the industry lies in non-American regions. Previously, before major brands focused on these major regions, the hotel makeup in these regions was mostly independent hotels. However, now as there's a focus toward these markets, we are seeing trends toward branding and consolidation and the increasing importance of these. Furthermore, there are increasing threats from non-hotel booking services and a reliance on group bookings. These threats are coming from services such as Airbnb, Expedia, VRBO, and sometimes even non-hotel strategic groups, for example, NBang, which is actually an insurance company. The implications of this analysis for Marriott are that there's an opportunity for Marriott as brand recognition increases overseas, and that Marriott needs to capitalize on the first mover advantage, especially in Europe and Asia, where the industry is largely fragmented. Marriott will need to monitor mergers and acquisitions of other competitors, especially as it just acquired Starwood, which will spur other competitors on toward acquisitions. Marriott will also need to focus on loyalty programs and turning its own internal booking platform in order to maintain and grow its position as a market leader. From another standpoint, the market value of the industry has been increasing at a steady rate since 2011. The market value is now at $550 billion, whereas it was $457 billion in 2011. This increase in the market value is largely from an improved economy, and the hotel market itself is highly segmented, which actually increases the cost of differentiation. Two of these major segments are business travelers and leisure travelers, which are further segmented by income, length of stay, and preference of hotel experience. Another subset of two important groups are boomers and millennials. These are two very large groups that contribute a lot of revenue to the hotel industry, but they are also very different in their preferences and behaviors. The hotel industry market leaders have been playing this game for a while, so it is a very highly segmented market already, which increases the difficulty of differentiating and building brand loyalty. which for Marriott means that it will need efficiencies and scale in order to divert funds to meeting rising service needs, as well as this shows the value of Starwood to Marriott as from another standpoint in the environmental analysis, competition is high, evolving and increasing, meaning that there's an increase in non-traditional hotel services, which provide which lead to rising threats to hotels in the industry. And there's also a growing role by non-American players among the other thousands of smaller independent hotels, meaning that Marriott will need to address the threats from rising business models such as the shared economy and Airbnb and VRBO, which are increasing their own market share and luring Marriott's own customers in both business and leisure travel. There's also, in such a highly competitive and saturated market, growth and expansion are most likely going to come from mergers and acquisitions, as well as aggressive organic room growth. So the main takeaways from this are that there's increasing consolidation in international markets that provides an opportunity for Marriott. There's a primacy of the U.S. as an international travel destination, so the Marriott cannot simply forget about the American market. There are also buyer customers and third-party booking services and online travel agencies have an increasing bargaining power because of price competition, meaning that hotels are being forced to find creative and innovative ways to differentiate, meaning brand loyalty and achieving it is increasingly difficult. And last but not least, there's a rapid and current growth in non-room hotel services such as Airbnb and VRBO. So with that background information, Olivia is now going to take us through Marriott's current situation.
Thank you. So looking at our business and the immediate challenges that we face, we really want to highlight 4. We recognize that there are many, many more, but we think that these 4 are the most pertinent and the most relevant to where we are right now. So we think the number one threat to our business are shared economy-based businesses, as they are a disruptive force in the hotel industry, and we've seen already profit losses and a complete shift in how hotel businesses are run just because of these businesses. And these businesses include Airbnb and VRBO, Airbnb being one of the most well-known ones. Additionally, we believe that there's an increasing trend towards acquisitions, and there's more international investment. And we really want to highlight that trend towards acquisitions, because as we know that we just completed our Starwood's acquisition, but as Eugene said, that we're not unique in that, and that there's overall this just larger trend that means there's going to be more consolidation, and that the face of competition is going to change. Additionally, after just completing the Starwood acquisition, we have post-acquisition integration, really trying to realize those synergies that really drove the value of the acquisition in the first place. And one of the big value drivers is the Starwood Preferred Guest Rewards Program, which was already mentioned. This is a major driving factor, and we'll go more into the real attributes of that later. And lastly, there's a unfortunate trend of declining brand loyalty, and this is because of the shifts that we see in competition. And so it's really important because it's among the business accounts, and the business accounts, business travel, those have been some really key parts of the business that really drive the profitability. They account for about 40% of the business, where leisure travel accounts for about 60% of the business. And it's supposed to be the more stable form of business. And so when your stable business becomes shaky, everything becomes a little shaky. So looking at where we are now, these are the pre-existing goals that we've identified. And that main part is to grow 6 to 7% per year over the next 5 years in the number of rooms. Finishing the integration of Starwood into Marriott's already expansive portfolio while maintaining that value driver of the SPG. Lastly, we really think it's important to triple the number of rooms in Europe by 2020. And so combining that environmental analysis and that and everything that we just talked about there, these are our existing goals. And so these are the goals that we have as of right now. And so our current strengths that we see helping with our goals and that we could capitalize later on is the utilization of digital platforms. They accounted for 28% of gross bookings in 2015. This is a dramatic increase, and we've seen this both from the mobile apps, our proprietary site, and from partnerships like with Alibaba's trip site called AliTrip. Additionally, in 2015, 1/3 of the hotel room openings were outside of North America. So we believe we already have a competency in international expansion and growth organically, and as we'll see later, through acquisitions. Additionally, strong distribution among a number of core segments, because as Marriott International, we have an expansive and comprehensive brand lineup that allows us to reach from those budget conscious to the high luxury, from millennials to boomers, and all the other segments that Eugene already highlighted. Looking closely at the Starwood acquisition, we really believe that this highlights our competency and our ability, our strength to expand internationally. So if you look at this pie chart right here, this shows kind of where we are as Marriott itself pre-acquisition, and you can see that Starwood adds a lot in terms of growing in the Asia Pacific, growing in Europe, which are two of our key regions. And just looking at how that will impact our number of rooms before and after, the post-acquisition, we're going to more than double, nearly triple the number of rooms in the Asia Pacific. Additionally, we're going to nearly double the number of rooms in the Middle East. And so we really see that, and you can look at the other regions, but we really see that our acquisition with Starwood already highlights the current strengths that we have in growing. And this is not including the organic growth that we're doing outside of the acquisition. So we believe we are already well versed and able to take on more growth. And so looking at all that, our existing strategy as of right now is to aggressively increase the number of rooms available globally. Additionally, we want to expand those international operations, capitalize on those strengths that I just highlighted, and we're doing this mostly through acquisitions and organic growth. And lastly, continue to build that digital platform as a means to gain new customer markets. We really see that as the world becomes more globalized, as it becomes more digitized, getting into that platform and really making a name for ourselves and making us accessible is very important and capitalizes on the strengths that we already have. And really overall, we're becoming less risk adverse in our mindset. We are looking to take those aggressive risks, those innovative risks, because we believe that that's really the only way that we can both maintain but also then to grow in this new environment. So looking forward, so I talked about what we are currently doing, and now we're going to look forward to what we will do, what we recommend that we should do in the future. And so looking forward, first we need to know what are the areas of importance. And some of these we've touched on a little bit, but we really believe that while there are a lot of different issues that are important to us, really the highest and most important ones are these four, especially the increasing threat of non-room hoteliers and other substitutes. This includes businesses like Tripping.com, VRBO, and most importantly, Airbnb. Airbnb was reported when Airbnb moved into certain neighborhoods, they reported to see a 5% drop in revenues for the hotels and bed and breakfasts that are in those regions within the next fiscal year. And so we really see that Airbnb is a threat and it's not going anywhere. It's not just a fun experiment. Additionally, industry-wide move towards mergers and acquisitions and leveraging the economies of scale. And we've seen this, as it was already touched on by Eugene, and we also are a member of this trend as consolidation and the desire for brand names grows stronger. You're going to see more and more of this, and we've already seen it from the likes of our bigger partners such as IHG, Hyatt, Hilton, and Accor. We really see this growing and being very pertinent, and it's going to change the shape and the face of the competition. Additionally, non-hotel firms like OnBank are getting into this market, and as we saw with OnBank trying to usurp the Starwood's acquisition deal. Additionally, we think it's important to capitalize on the growth in international travel, especially in Asia, as the GDP is rising in those regions, there's being more international travel. So as you have literally billions of people leaving their country, we want to give them a place to stay, and we think that's very important. Additionally, leveraging the innovative approaches to marketing and brand differentiation. When we think about this in terms of our boomers versus our millennials, this is where that really comes in. A lot of millennials, they're really driven by these mobile apps and these digital interfaces, and they don't want the cookie cutter hotel experiences. And so we're seeing that we really need to be able to approach this in a way that says, we hear you and we can supply what you're demanding. And so with all of those considerations, looking at the past, looking at where we are, this is where we want to look forward to. And so our recommended goal for number 1 is to achieve an 8% annual growth in revenue per available rooms, RevPAR, by 2019 in our key regions. These key regions include, but are not limited to, Asia and Europe. Additionally, goal number 2 is to achieve number 1 market share by the number of rooms across all of our brand segments by 2020. It's important to note that the number of rooms is the industry standard and the industry metric that is most recognized, more so than the number of hotels and more so than revenue. So looking forward, we are looking at some of the sub-goals and objectives that are really going to need to be in place to reach those overarching goals. And so doubling the number of rooms in Asia with specific focus on India and China by 2020. Asia, especially China and India, with over 2 billion, nearly 3 billion people between the two of them. If we can really make headway in those areas, we can make a lot of headway in all of our other key regions. Additionally, continue the aggressive expansion of the number of rooms in Europe. We seek to triple the number of rooms in Europe by 2020. And we are already seeing that we can do this tremendous growth. This is already one of our core competencies. Expand the room numbers in North America by 15,000 rooms per year until 2020. And this is really to help drive us forward in that really competitive and saturated market that is North America. And lastly, expanding and merging the Marriott Rewards program with that value driver, the SPG Rewards program, by the end of 2016 and maintain that customer loyalty that SPG brings along. So now I'm going to turn it over to Betsy as she's going to go more in depth on our strategic recommendations.
Great. Thank you, Olivia. So now that we've looked at our proposed goals and sub-goals, we thought it was very important to identify 4 different strategic initiatives that will help us move towards reaching those goals. The first of which is countering the threat from Airbnb. So here we want to leverage our already existing marketing strength, our existing rewards program, the SPG rewards program, as well as our strong rollout capability to build 2 brands, Moxy and Tribute. Moxy is our existing lifestyle economy brand that we just rolled out in the last few years and are aggressively expanding internationally. And Tribute was acquired under Starwood and is similar to Moxy in offering lifestyle and economy options at affordable but chic properties. So looking into this, we've identified a key insight that we know Airbnb is a growing threat and it appeals to millennial customers. Moving along the arrow, we see that focused marketing on Moxy and Tribute is going to increase brand awareness for these 2 brands, which will then lead to stronger brand relationships and then stronger brand position and eventually a stronger preference for the value we have to offer as a respected name, but still delivering these quality services at an affordable price. Eventually that will lead to increased market share globally as we really tap into that millennial market. Our second strategic initiative is expansion in Europe. As we've talked about throughout the presentation, as Europe continues to consolidate and brand awareness is increasing, it's really important for us to expand and capture the first mover advantage here. So our insight is demand for branded hotels in Europe is growing. Therefore, we plan to increase our number of hotels both through organic growth and then leveraging the Starwood acquisition. That will lead to an expanded number of rooms and stronger awareness of our offerings and loyalty in Europe, eventually meeting European demand and growing our RevPAR in Europe and growing our market share in Europe. Our third strategic initiative focuses on growth in North America. While we know it's a very saturated and mature market, we can't neglect this really important area for international travel. Therefore, we know that competition is fierce and zero-sum, so we need to aggressively continue organic growth. And that means expanding our existing hotels, building more hotels under our existing brands, as well as increasing the number of hotels that are franchised under our brand names. So knowing the market is mature and competition is fierce, we believe that expanding the number of franchisees in existing properties will increase our number of rooms and therefore lead to maintaining our market share in North America. Lastly, our fourth strategic initiative focuses on Asia, which we have identified as another key area. Here we hope to build and expand our existing partnerships to build a digital platform for booking and marketing presence in Asia. As Olivia mentioned, we already built at the end of last year a partnership with China's Alibaba and their booking service Alitrip, which we imported our own Marriott booking platform into that to really increase our brand presence throughout the country. At the same time, we hope to mirror that partnership in other key countries, including India, South Korea, and Japan, to increase brand awareness of our hotels, which will both target the domestic demand across Asia, as well as increase awareness so that when travelers from the region travel to Europe, North America, or other places, they'll understand our brand promise and our offering. So in turn, capitalizing on Asia growth will help us expand our partnerships, increase brand awareness, and then increase demand for our hotels, which will in turn lead to increased market share and RevPAR in Asia. So now that we've discussed our strategic initiatives, we have identified several key tactics that we believe will be very important in helping us achieve our strategies and reach our goals. We've put several of the most important ones here, which I will review. The first one is building the Sheraton brand and capitalizing on brand awareness in Asia. So Sheraton was acquired under Starwood, and already it's one of the most notorious and respected brands in Asia. So building Sheraton and really using that as a platform to capitalize on incoming Asian tourists to the rest of the world will greatly increase our business. Secondly, expanding SPG. We've touched on this before, but specifically looking at the partnerships that Starwood has already undertaken, including with Uber and other high-tech and innovative solutions that increase brand awareness and increase the rewards that our customers have for using us instead of the competition. Third, as we've identified before as well, a key tactic will be monitoring mergers and acquisitions of competing firms. In an increasingly consolidating industry, we need to know what our competitors are doing at all times. And then lastly, an important tactic will be increasing traditional and social media marketing. While we already have strong marketing, particularly to focus on Moxie and Tribute, will pay dividends as we are able to target millennial customers and increase awareness of the trendy and affordable offerings that we have, as well as marketing around the use of Marriott.com to avoid usage of non-hotel booking services and increase awareness around the benefits and the price discounts of booking directly. So given all of the information that we've gone over in terms of our goals and our strategies and the environment, there are several key strategic considerations that we need to take, that we need to understand. So we'll here provide an overview of the assumptions as well as the potential risks and mitigations for our strategic goals. So first, some of the key assumptions include the fact that we strongly believe that our innovative approaches will mitigate encroachment by Airbnb and others. While Airbnb is not a trend of the moment, we strongly believe that our technology and our brand offerings will successfully be able to counter the growth of these non-room hoteliers. The second assumption is that North America is a mature and saturated market where growth is very difficult except via acquisition, which has prompted us to focus on the international market while of course not neglecting the very valuable North American market. Thirdly, our focus on Asia. We know that China is now the fourth largest source of international travelers, and then utilizing our particular brand loyalty on Sheraton, That will help us grow our other existing brands and increase our businesses both in Asia and overseas where Asian travelers go. Fourth is market growth is increasing and consistent. As Eugene showed in the chart, there is a trend of upward growth in the industry in terms of revenue, and we are confident that projections are accurate that this growth will continue, and therefore allowing us to be profitable and finance the investments that we have proposed throughout this presentation. Lastly, while we realize that brand loyalty is declining across the industry, we are very confident that our incorporating Starwood Preferred Guests and bolstering our own existing rewards program will help differentiate Marriott from our competitors and increase brand loyalty for us. Then finally, looking at the risks and the challenges towards achieving our goals. Of course, we will have responses to our strategy from our competition. So this has spurred us to look at the increasing mergers and acquisitions among competitors, which will most likely increase into the future as well. And that could potentially threaten our market share as we expand internationally. Secondly, financial risks are also great. As a hotel linked closely with tourism and business, we are strongly reliant on a strong global economy. So if we experience another recession like in 2011, our business might be hurt and room occupancy will decrease. Second financial risk is due to the merger. We are experiencing very low equity at the moment, so that will prevent any immediate mergers in the near future. And then thirdly, brand integration. One of the most important aspects in any merger or acquisition is integrating successfully these two brands. A lack of integration devalues the acquisition significantly. So our focus on brand integration will be mitigating any potential problems in the integration and making sure we do not lose customer loyalty and that we integrate the Starwood Preferred Guests program fully and do not lose any of the amazing benefits that SPG offers. So to mitigate these risks, we have provided suggestions and steps for mitigation under each of the three categories of risks. For the competitive landscape, as we mentioned before, monitoring the industry trends and M&As will be crucial, followed by continuing aggressive organic room growth, and then assessing the potential for post-2017 Marriott acquisitions. While we are not in a position this year to continue acquisitions financially, as the industry continues to consolidate, it's something that we need to take into consideration, especially smaller and international acquisitions that can help bolster our brands in Asia and Europe. Second mitigation for financial risks includes increasing chic but budget-friendly hotel options, which focusing on Moxie, focusing on rewards programs that increase loyalty and offer discounts, and as a last resort, changing our financing structure away from our conservative model and towards maybe increasing our debt to improve our equity. Lastly, focusing on brand integration, assessing all aspects of the merger and taking until the end of the year to complete that, and then increasing marketing for individual brands to make sure that those we've acquired from Starwood do not compete with our existing Marriott brands across segments. So just to provide another overview, our overall recommendations focus on international expansion, especially in Asia and Europe, consolidating Starwood and integrating the rewards program, and lastly, expanding economy and lifestyle brands of Moxie and Tribute to integrate or to grow our market for millennial travelers and compete with Airbnb. These will lead to reaching our goals of increasing our growth rate of RevPAR by 8% by 2019 and achieving market leader status in the number of rooms across our brand segments by 2020. Thank you, and we'd like to now take questions and comments.